A new documentary is set to debut in Iowa next month. It's giving an insider look at former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin's time in office. Now, the film is titled The Undefeated and is leading many to wonder if its purpose is perhaps a prelude to a possible 2012 presidential run. Now, we have obtained an exclusive sneak peek of the yet-to-be-released film, which is still in its rough editing phase. And by the way, you'll only see it right here on Hannity. Take a look.
Point Thompson had been under the control of the working interest owners since 1965. Through that period of time, not a single drop of oil or gas found its way into the TAPS pipeline, which had been in place since 1977.
For the 22nd time, ExxonMobil had submitted its plan to begin drilling in the Point Thompson unit, but still had not drilled.
Point Thompson is considered the largest undeveloped oil and gas field in North America. And in 1977, ExxonMobil signed a lease agreement with the state to explore and drill in this field.
And where I come from, your word's supposed to be good, but at least if your name's on a sheet of paper, it has to be good.
The state said, drill it or lose it. Exxon challenged the state. The state rose to the challenge and decided that they would rather litigate than continually allow Exxon to delay development of the Point Thompson field.
It is our land. It belongs to Alaskans. It doesn't belong to the oil and gas companies. And if they're not going to develop it, let's get aggressive and take the leases back.
Now, you can catch the film in its entirety this July in select theaters. Joining me with reaction, Fox Business Network Sandra Smith, and from the Fox News Channel and nationally syndicated radio talk show host, the one and only Monica Crowley. You think she's running?
I think if we were to read the tea leaves today, all indications are that she probably will jump into this race. First of all, we have this documentary that's going to roll out that will reintroduce her to American voters, and we have to admit that the left did a pretty effective hit job on her over the last few years. So this will be Sarah Palin trying to regain control over her own narrative. She also has said repeatedly, Sean, over the last few months, that if she looked at the GOP field and she found it wanting, in other words, that there was nobody in the field who was truly championing conservative values, that she would think seriously about getting in.
She said something, Sandra, the other day, too, that really, and she said it on Greta's program, she has the fire in the belly. Mm-hmm. That, to me, was the closest indicator we've gotten that she is really considering that.
And that's really what voters are looking for right now, somebody who's passionate about what's going on in this country. And one thing about Sarah Palin is the timing of this would be impeccable. When you talk about oil prices are still above $100, they are as of today. Goldman Sachs says they're going to $135. I mean, we talk to key players on the Fox Business Network in the oil industry every day who say she would be a big win for the oil industry and for gas prices in America because she would drill, baby, drill. She'd probably go into Anwar, and it would be huge. All right, it'd be a 180.
Let me talk about what she's going to face. And I want to do it through the prism of what has happened with this NBC host, Ed Schultz, because her looks have been attacked, her family's been attacked, her clothing's been attacked. I mean, the most vicious, vile, hateful things have been said about her and her family. And liberals seem to do this a lot. Let me give you the latest example. They said this about Laura Ingraham. This is Schultz on NBC News.
And what are the Republicans thinking about? They're not thinking about their next-door neighbor. They're just thinking about how much this is going to cost. President Obama is going to be visiting Joplin, Missouri on Sunday. But you know what they're talking about? Like this right-wing slut, what's her name, Laura Ingraham? Yeah, she's a talk slut. You see, she was, back in the day, praising President Reagan when he was drinking a beer overseas, but now that Obama's doing it, they're working him over.
He said it on his radio program, and he works at NBC News. Laura Ingraham has responded. She said, crude comments made about me by Ed Schultz on his radio program. First, I was surprised to learn Schultz actually hosted a radio show. Is it only available online? Second, I have to get back to recording the audio edition of my new book, Of Thee I Zing, and now I'm tempted to insert one additional zing about men who preach civility but practice misogyny.
Yeah.
Now, here's the point. I'm tying these two things together. If Governor Palin gets in, she will again be on the front lines of vicious attacks. There's this double standard for conservative women, and I cannot, for the life of me, figure out why. Tell me why.
I think it's because, Sean, somebody like Laura Ingraham, but to an even greater extent, Governor Palin, because she's been in the public sector. She has run for office repeatedly. She could be a candidate for president. When you have a conservative woman in the mix, she represents an existential threat to liberalism. Why? Because she actually lives her life according to conservative values, whether it's pro-life, pro-gun. This is a woman who embodies conservative principles, and therefore the left needs to take her out in a way that they don't necessarily have to do.
You've been attacked over the years yourself.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this, because NBC News suspended him for a week. Was that the right thing to do?
The comments were inappropriate. They were uncalled for. They're not professional in the least bit.
Mean.
And mean. And, you know, one thing I think that a lot of people would like to see from Sarah Palin is for her to let some of the stuff, you know, brush it off and, you know, just let it bounce right off.
She's done a good job
because
of that,
at the end of the day, you know what Ed Schultz did? He wasn't worried about his neighbor or the people in Joplin, Missouri either. He was putting the spotlight on himself. He made that all about himself.
Look, I'm not going to have a double standard here. Unlike the left, I don't call for people to be fired. I don't call for boycotts of people's shows. I think it was so over the line and so distasteful, people can decide for themselves. But if it was a conservative who said this, Monica, what would the reaction be?
If you attacked, I don't know, Joy Behar, a liberal woman, or if you attacked the White House Special Advisor Valerie Jarrett and called her a slut on this program, you would still be fired, Sean. You would not be in this building tomorrow, okay? That is a double standard that we're facing.
This goes back to when we were in elementary school. You know, when do you name call? When do you pick on somebody? When you feel weak and you feel threatened.
Yes, and also the left, this is how they roll because they don't have anything else. Okay, so they throw this kind of garbage, this kind of despicable language at the other side because they cannot win on the platform of ideas.
Listen, he owes her an apology.
Absolutely.
More than anybody else. That's where the apology should be.
And he owes everyone an apology for even using the word on.
Well, you know, the thing is the radio equalizer, this guy Brian Maloney found this, and there's far worse, or plenty of other things, I should say, that he said over the years that people ignore because I guess it's on the internet, this radio show. I never heard it. All right, guys.
Nobody has. He's got tens of listeners.
All right, and coming up, well, we went off the air last night. Our cameras kept rolling. We have more of my explosive interview with a former Palin staffer. That's coming up next.